Hello and welcome to the Private Practice Podcast. I'm Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and with nearly 30 years experience in the industry, I'm really excited to share practical insights, valuable wisdom, and all the tools that you need to build a thriving private practice. So whether you're a counsellor, psychologist, social worker, or play therapist, this podcast is all about keeping it real with stories, strategies, and all the support you need to help you flourish in business. We're going to be embracing a mind, business, spirit approach, diving into honest conversations that will uplift your practice and soul. And if you haven't already, come and join us in the Counsellors Connect Australia Facebook group. It's totally free and you'll find a warm, supportive community of like-minded professionals. So go grab your favorite drink, your journal, a pen, get cozy, and let's dive into the mind, business, spirit approach to private practice that you've been looking for. Welcome to another episode of the Private Practice Podcast. Super pleased that you're here, and I want to begin with gratitude for you. Thank you so much for listening, especially when I didn't do an episode on Saturday or Wednesday, but there was a reason for that, and I'll just give you the down and dirty, very short version. But as you know, I have autism, and that's all fine. Like, it's only level 1. I'm okay. Like, it's just it affects me socially, not a big deal. But the thing that did happen was my diagnosis for the ADD got updated, and it just brought up a lot of stuff, as you can probably imagine. So I think I may have mentioned it to you in the past, but there was a there's some research that's coming out at the moment around trauma in childhood and ADD and stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying. It just brought up a lot of stuff, and I just lost my energy. So my energy fluctuates anyway, as you know, but I just really lost my energy, and it was just a lot of processing that had to be done. And of course, it's not finished. I only found out last week, and it will probably take a little bit of time for the dust to settle, and that's totally okay. I think too, I'm really lucky because it's coming up to the end of the year, and I know many of us are taking breaks and we have holidays. So I'll be looking forward to having some space. But I want to share with you, because I know many of you too are also neurodivergent. I want to share with you what I've been doing sort of behind the scenes, because it's like when you got ADD, you get an idea in your head and boom, you go with it, right? And there's hyper focus. So I started to think about, okay, well, I understand that this is how I work. I understand this is my energy. This is what it looks like. And as you know, like I've always said, I'm much better in the mornings, and then sort of hits lunchtime, the energy goes. So some of the things that I did this year to try and manage the energy, and I'm sharing this because we're in December now and it's only a couple of weeks until we're in January. So I'm sharing this because maybe this might help you set your business up for next year, right? Anywho, so that's the reason why I'm sharing this. So one of the things that I did was I started thinking about what I really want to create with my diary. And as you know, it's been this year about needing to create more time freedom to care for a loved one. But now I'm thinking, well, what about just for me? Like, what do I really want? Like, that aside, like, it's so important to care for a loved one, yes. But that aside, what about my needs? Like, what do I really want? How do I really want the business to look? Who do I really want to be working with? Who do I really want to be helping? How do I really want to be helping them? So I've been spending a lot of time thinking about those kinds of things, and really taking a step back and just being okay with giving myself space for reflection. And what's come out of that is a couple of things. First off, I realized that I don't want to be working as much as I am, or as much as I have been. So earlier this year, I was working 3 days a week. So just to backtrack, the previous years I'd been working almost every day. I think I was taking Fridays off from memory, but I was working like Monday through Thursday, and I had availability for clients from like 9 till 3 and stuff like that. And then at the end of that year, I decided I wanted to do things differently. So I cut right back and said, I'm just going to do Monday through Wednesday. So I gave myself Thursday, Friday off, but also reduced my availability. So I said, well, I'm only going to be available from 9 till 1 or something like that. And then it's reduced again. And now it's just Mondays and Tuesdays available 9 till 12. But I was thinking, is it possible for me to even reduce it more? I know, right? This is how I think. I'm thinking, how can I still reduce it even more? Because one of the things that I struggle with is the commitment of things, like knowing that something's there in my diary is just fills me with dread. I much prefer spontaneous things. I'll show up for my commitments, but they don't always light me up, and it's nothing to do with the activity that I'm doing, or if it's a client, it's nothing to do with the client that I'm seeing. I only work with clients I like. I'm very picky about who I work with. For every client I work with, I've probably said no to 10. But yeah, so it's never about the client per se, and it's really about the work. It's more about my energy being unpredictable. And as part of the ADD, while this is not a clinically recognized condition, I think it's highly likely that I also experience something that's called rejection sensitive dysphoria. And if you haven't heard of what that term is, let me just I'm going to go to Dr. Google. Just let me go and bring it up so I can read it out, because you know what? If you haven't heard of it, you won't know, do you have it or do you resonate with it? And if you do have ADD or a form of ADD, so ADHD or ADID, or if you're like me and you have the ADD combined, which is both, it might be helpful for you to be aware of this, because you might not even know that it exists. So let me bring it up for you, and I'll quickly talk you through what RSD is. 1 second. Okay, so I've just gone and brought that up now, and I'm just going to read it out. Now, I'm reading this from the Cleveland Clinic. Okay, the Cleveland Clinic, and they've got clinics all over the world, in Abu Dhabi, Canada, Florida, London, etc., etc. So, reputable company. Anyway, RSD, rejection sensitive dysphoria, is when you experience severe emotional pain because of a failure or because of feeling rejected. This condition is linked to ADD, and experts suspect it happens due to differences in brain structure. Those differences mean your brain can't regulate rejection-related emotions and behaviors, making them much more intense. RSD is when a person feels intense emotional pain related to a perception of rejection. The word dysphoria comes from an ancient Greek word that describes a strong, if not overwhelming, feeling of pain or discomfort. Though RSD is not an officially recognized symptom or diagnosis, it's a term that experts use in conjunction with recognized conditions. While rejection is something people usually don't like, the negative feelings that come with RSD are much stronger and can be much harder to manage, or both. People with RSD are also more likely to interpret vague interactions as rejection and may find it difficult to control their reactions. Okay, so then it talks about the difference between emotional dysregulation and rejection sensitivity. Symptoms and causes. People with RSD often show following traits and behaviors. So, maybe if any of this is resonating with you, this could be something you want to look into if you're one of my neurodivergent colleagues. I'm just going to list them off as they're written here off this website, which is myclevelandclinic.org. They say it's very easy for them to feel embarrassed or self-conscious. They show signs of low self-esteem or trouble in believing in themselves. They have trouble containing emotions when they feel rejected, and this is often noticeable in children and teenagers with this condition. And the reason for that too, by the way, is because when we get to adulthood, usually if you're a Gen Xer like I am, in my case, you've learnt to mask, right? You've learnt to mask, which is you've learnt to put on the happy face for everybody else's, to accommodate everybody else around you. But on the inside, you're still feeling it, right? Some people may react with sudden show of anger, while others may burst into tears. Instead of losing control of their emotions outwardly, some people with RSD may turn their feelings inward. This can look like a snap onset of severe depression, and sometimes it's mistaken for sudden emotional shifts that can happen with other conditions, right? They're often people pleasers, and they can become intensely focused on avoiding the disapproval of others. So I guess if we're thinking about this in a business way. An example of that could be, saying things like, oh, I am only going to charge this amount for my sessions because I want to be affordable, or I want to be accessible, or something like that. Avoiding confrontation, not being assertive, not putting a boundary in place, not following up with a debt, all those kinds of things could possibly even come under that as well. They can avoid starting projects, tasks, or goals where they feel that there's a chance that they might fail. So I guess if that's you and you're in solo private practice, what are you putting off? What do you keep doing instead of the thing that you need to be doing? And also lastly, it says here that they can compensate for their fear of failure or rejection by going all out or striving for perfectionism. So you've heard me say in previous podcast episodes before that I believe perfectionism is a survival mechanism. I feel it's like avoiding rejection, a fear of failure. So it's really affirming for me to read this here at the Cleveland Clinic. However, the downside of this is that they often experience intense anxiety and may not easily make self-care or downtime a priority. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw this into the mix because it's also something else that can be happening for so many of us in our business. So when it comes to what I was talking about before, which was what are the changes that I want to make to my business moving forward and some of the reflection that I've been doing around that, I think what I've realized is I actually work better when I can be spontaneous. And for me, that means not being locked into sessions. And so what I've been able to do is recreate a brand new model of helping people without it costing me time. I know. You're probably thinking, what are you talking about, Brooklyn? But it's true. I've done it. I've created a new model for my business where I could help, hypothetically speaking, I could help 100 clients in a week if I wanted to. And it's not going to cost me more than, I don't know, maybe 4 hours. So, I'm really, 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 really excited about it. And I'm excited because it just gives me back my time. And then I was thinking about, well, if I'm going to do it's roughly an hour a day, I thought, okay, when can I do that? So I thought, oh yeah, I'll do it from 9 till 10. And I'll do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? And then I thought, no, I won't, because I'm up anyway at 7:30, so I can just do that hour of work from 8 till 9. So that's what I'm going to do. And so I'm going to do this work from 8 till 9. I'm going to get all my time back. Plus, I get to help more people than I'm helping now. And I get to help them in a much better way than I've been helping them. I've been helping them in a great way, like doing coaching, but I've been using traditional coaching models. And as someone who's neurodivergent, I just need something different. And so by having this model here where I'm not locked into sessions, I don't have to worry. I'm not going to be letting people down. I don't have to worry about upsetting anybody if I need to cancel or reschedule. And the RSD for me goes away because it's not even a thing anymore. And I'm so, so, so excited about it. And so one of the things that I did was I said to people, hey, do you know what? If you want to have a free business strategy session with me, you can. Now, I don't generally do discovery calls, you know how I feel about them, but I was so, so, so excited to share this with people. So what I did was, I've said to you in previous podcasts this year that I'm not going to do free things anymore. And the reason why isn't because I'm being a mean, horrible person. It's just because when I do the free things, like the big free workshops that go for 3 days at a time, for private practice, so I've done these for 3 or 4 years now. twice a year I'll do a big workshop that goes for 3 days for private practice, and I'll do another 2 a year for marketing, right? Teaching private practice owners how to market. They go for 3 days, and so it's like one a quarter, but they drain me because I bring so much energy and they cost me so much of my energy. But also the other thing is when I give away free things, that costs me energy as well. But it means that two things are happening. Number one, I like to always over deliver, right? So I always want to make sure that my free stuff is next level. Like, people tell me very often that my free stuff is better than stuff they've paid for. And that feels really, really nice to hear. But at the same time, what seems to have happened for me is that now people are like, oh, I'm not going to go and do this thing with Brooklyn because I'll just wait for her next free thing because I know it's going to be good. So it's kind of worked in reverse for me in that way. Plus, also, I think when you do things free, a couple of things happen. Number one, I think people don't appreciate it because it's free, so they don't value it. If I was going to give an example, but I don't need to, so don't worry. And I think, like, even those workshops, if I had said, instead of it being free, if I had said, come along to this workshop for $27, I'm sure I would have had a lot less people come, but the people who came would have implemented what I was teaching and would have got results. There are so many people who come along to the workshops but don't attend the calls, and they don't do the work, and then they're like, oh, I did Brooklyn's workshop and nothing happened. Well, it didn't happen because you didn't implement anything, right? So it's not helpful for me to be offering free things anymore. If my goal is to get transformations and results for people, and I see that that tends to happen more when people financially contribute, it doesn't make any sense to me to do free things. So in saying that, there'll be no more free things moving forward. And that feels really, 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 really good because I want people to get better results. So the only things that I think I will keep, so I'm in the process now of updating the website, and I've got a portal. So if you've ever grabbed one of the free things or paid things from me, chances are you're in my portal, and you'll see a lot of those free things either disappear or they'll get a price ticket attached to them over the coming weeks. And same with the website. So on my website, I think I've got a section called freebies. I'm going to get rid of that because it's just not helping anyone. People are downloading it, and I can see they're downloading things, and I can see they're not even opening them. So it's not helping anyone. So it goes against my value, which is to help. When I can go in the portal and I can see people have paid $7, or people paid $27, or people paid $500, 7 times out of 10 they've opened it and they've read it, and most of the time most of the people will implement things and get a result. So anyway, I'm repeating myself, but you get the idea. So that's another change that I'm making. I'm going to stop doing a lot of the free stuff. And that feels good because now I don't have to worry about all this stuff that goes into making these 3-day events, because while I am on fire when I'm delivering them because I'm in hyper focus, it takes me a long time to recover. And I understand now that that is part of the ADD. So now that I've got that awareness, I can zig to my own zag, and I've just made that decision not to do those big workshops anymore. I may do other things, but I'm not going to lock myself into it. This year coming up for me, you know how we have a word that we like to hang on to or use as a North Star every year? Well, the word that I'm going to use for next year is freedom, and really leaning into that. So it's be as commitment free as possible in my private practice, which sounds like, how can you even do that? Well, I'm going to figure it out, guys, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. But anyway, I'm so super excited. But anyway, so I was talking to you about the business assessment, right? So what I've done is I didn't want to make it paid, but what I did do was I made it, you can apply for a business assessment. And that has made a huge difference because well, I think I've had just over 100 people. I think it was like 108 people now have gone to the document, have gone to apply for the free business session or the free business consultation, sorry. And I think I've booked about, I don't know, I'll say maybe 15 calls. So think about that. Like, if I hadn't had that process in place where I was like, no, you can apply for one. So there's the offer is have a free business strategy session with me for your business for next year. When you and I have that call, you will have already completed like an assessment form. And then when we come on the call, I'm able then to ask you any clarification questions and then give you some guidance around the next steps for your private practice, right? And then if everything's going well and the planets align and you and I both think that momentum could be the right next step for you, we have a quick conversation about momentum, and then I'll send you some information about that and the agreement to get started, and that's pretty much what it looks like. But if I didn't have that assessment in place first to I don't know, like pre-qualify, pre-check, like, whatever, then I would have ended up doing 108 calls. And seriously, like, who wants to do 108 calls that go for 15 or 20 minutes? Not I, right? That would be like a nightmare. I can see it in my mind's eye now. My Google Calendar would just be like full of these appointments for like 2 weeks or something. No. That's an absolute nightmare for me, not doing it. So what I do now is, you can have this thing, but you've got to apply for it. And then I get to choose based on your responses whether or not I want to go ahead and give you that session. And it works for the client and it works for me. It works for me because I get to see straight away whether or not I can help this person. And if I can't, then I'll let them know. And I just, say to them, thank you so much for the application for the complimentary business strategy session. At this point in time, I'm not in a position to be able to support you based on where the business is at for you. Here are a couple of other resources that you might want to look at first. And I'll direct them to a few other things that might be a better fit for where they're at now. Does that make sense? So it's like I'm able to see, okay, we've got 108 applications here for this free thing, but who can I really help? Who looks like someone I can help? Where's their business at the moment? Can I see what the challenges are? Have I got something that I know is proven with my other clients to work? And how can I get them to do that, right? And so they're the ones that have been getting the approvals to then move into that call with me. So that's something else that I've done. And that came about as a result of my awareness with the ADD and being neurodivergent. And so I am so thankful that I had this updated assessment, because it's answered so many questions for me, but it's also empowered me. So while it's brought up a lot of stuff, like, I'm here, and don't get me wrong, like, I sound high vibe at the moment because I'm talking to you, right? So yes, I'm high vibe right now, but yesterday afternoon I was really upset because I was like thinking about my childhood, and I was thinking about missed opportunities, and I was thinking about how my life could have been very different if I had had an aide at the school. And when I grew up, there was no wellbeing team. The guy who taught politics and PE was the welfare coordinator. So then I get angry and I'm thinking, man, if I'd been assessed back when I was little, maybe my life could have been different if I'd had that support. Like, I certainly know one of the things that I feel very strongly about is test-taking behaviors for me, because there's so much history there of me doing silly things because of the ADD. Like, for example, when everyone was doing a test, I would hear people turn the page over. And when they turned their page over, I panicked because I thought I was falling behind. So I quickly would turn my page over and start on the next page too. And then I'd get my test back and I'd do really badly on the test because, number one, I'd race through it. Number two, I didn't see that there were questions on the back of the page, right? The other thing is like, even when I did my ADD test, this is so funny. Even when I did my ADD test, I had to do it online. And I didn't read the instructions properly. And because I race, right? I rush through things. And so I was like, oh, I just want to get this test over and done with. And so I just skimmed the instructions. And then I started going through it. And then I thought to myself, oh, am I doing this the right way? And then I had to go back, like just kept pressing the back button so I could get back to the instructions. Realized, no, I hadn't been doing it the right way. And then I had to go through, re-answer them all again properly, and then hit submit. And then when I was talking to my assessor last week, she was asking me how things had been. I was telling her that I realised that I rushed through stuff. And she said, oh, that's so funny because when you did this particular... So I had to do like a bunch of online tests. I think there were about 5. And anyway, in one of these tests, I don't know which one it was. Apparently at times how quickly you respond to stuff. And I got 16.3. It was like one of the highest scores you can get for, and it just said she's off the chart for like moving quickly through things. Also, hey, what do you think about this? For those of you who use the DAS, right? For those of you who use the DAS, when I did my, follow-up. So I got my report on Tuesday this week that had the updated diagnosis in it and everything because I wanted a second opinion, right? That's why I went. So I got the second opinion. It confirmed what I had, but it basically said, no, it's not just ADHD. You've actually got both. You've got ADID, which is the inattentive type, as well as ADHD. It's called combined. I was like, yeah, I know that bit. Okay. What was I going to say? Oh, she said, I want to get some metrics for you. And I said, yeah, sure, no problem. And she got me to do the DAS and she read it out. And, I don't know, like, I'm just going to speak to people who do know what the DAS is, but the DAS is a scale that assesses where you're at for depression, anxiety, and stress symptoms over a given period of time, which is usually a week. But she wanted me to say, she said to me, look, it's normally over a week. Are you cool if we just do this like over the last month? I said, yeah, sure. So we did it for over the last month and my scores came out really high for some things. So I was like, I disagree because like, I don't remember the exact wording of the question, but there was a question there about feeling restless. And I'm like, I think the responses you can choose are never, sometimes, often, and almost always. And so I was like, almost always. And there were other questions like that. And I said to her, but I don't think that that's necessarily indicative of anxiety. I think that's just me and that's just the ADD because I cannot sit still. I'm constantly moving around. But with the DAS, it seems that they assess that as a symptom of anxiety. But for me, I'm arguing with my assessor because I'm saying, but I don't feel anxious. I'm like that anyway, just because I've got so much energy within me sometimes that I just do need to wiggle around. I mean, I eat fast. If I'm doing something, like if I'm going to eat something, I'll stand up and eat and I rock from side to side while I'm eating, or I pace. If I'm talking to my mum, for example, she sits down, but I always stand up when I talk to her and I walk around. I cannot just sit down opposite her and have a conversation. I'm always up. Do you know what I mean? So I don't necessarily think the DAS, for me, in my opinion, as a client and as a practitioner that's used it, I just don't believe that that's such a great indicator of anxiety for somebody who's got ADD. And I do also understand why there are so many people, the data's saying it's mostly women, but it's mostly women that get their symptoms dismissed by their GPs for ADD. The GPs tend to say, oh, you've got anxiety, oh, you've got depression, and start them on medication and things like that for anxiety and depression, or recommend they go and see a psychologist or a social worker or a counselor for support around anxiety or depression. But guess what? No, it wasn't anxiety or depression. It was ADD the whole flipping time. Anyway, do you follow what I'm saying? Anyway, I forget where I was going with this. This is my life. I forget where I'm going with stuff. And this is the other thing. I used to think that was menopause. No, it's ADD. I go off on tangents. So thank you so much for zigging to my zag. I want to say too, I had a really, 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 really lovely conversation with a client during the week. And she said to me something that nobody's ever said before, and it hit me in my heart. It just made me feel so, we say, oh, I feel seen, but I really did feel seen. She said to me, when we catch up, if you're not able to show up on Google Meet, I get it, and that's totally fine. And if it's easier for you to talk to me on the phone, let's just do that instead. And that's what she said to me. And then she said, and if you're really not okay and you just don't have the energy for the appointment, Brooklyn, please don't worry. Just let me know and we can easily make it another day. And I honestly don't mind. That's what she said to me. And I'm going to get teary thinking about it, because I always stress and worry about cancelling an appointment or rescheduling or something like that. And the reason that I'm not doing any Zoom or even Google Meets next year, none for my coaching and none for my counselling. The reason that I'm not doing those, so I have to log back into my computer because I've been talking so long the screensaver came back on, is because I find them draining. I don't like knowing, at 10 o'clock you've got to sit in front of Google Meet for an hour with the client. I hate that. I would much rather just do it on the phone. So this year, as you know, one of the other changes that I made was switching from Google Meets to phone coaching, and that has worked so well. But moving forward in the new year, from the 1st of January, I will be transitioning over any remaining clients who are still on Google Meets over to this new style of coaching that I've got. And I'm so excited to do it. It's just going to give me back my freedom. Oh, I just can't wait. I feel so excited about it. I feel so excited about it. If you want to learn more about it too, and hear what I'm doing and how it's going to work, and of course, if you want help with your private practice, you can apply for one of these complimentary business strategy sessions for your private practice. The link is in the show notes. So hit pause now, go and get the link, fill it out. And then I will let you know in a day or two, how your application progressed, and we can absolutely go from there. But I'm happy to share with you what the new model looks like for anyone who's interested, because especially if you struggle with things in your business, like if you struggle with maybe starting things and not finishing them, if you struggle with I don't actually know what I'm meant to be doing right now, if you struggle with I don't know what to focus on, if you struggle with I'm doing everything and nothing's working, all those types of things, then this would absolutely work really, really well for you, because you haven't tried anything like this before, and it's going to rock your world. You'll be like, oh my God, why didn't anybody ever think of this before? Thank you, Brooklyn. Seriously, you're going to love it. So hit pause. Go and fill out that form. I swear it will take you 2 minutes. It's pretty quick. It will take you 2 minutes to do, and I will let you know pretty quickly whether or not you can get that business strategy call with me, and we can go from there. If not, I'll send you some other resources that might be a better fit, that might help you better for where you're at, depending on that stage of business now. But anyway, that's it. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being understanding and for having compassion, of course, and for, saying, well, she aims to get them out on a Saturday and a Wednesday, but we know from time to time it's going to be a different day of the week. Thank you so much for zig into my zag. I appreciate it more than you could possibly know. And I'm here, right? So if you need anything at all, of course, send me an email. The address is support@brooklynstorme.com, or come and stalk me on Instagram at the Private Practice Coach, or on Facebook at Brooklyn Storme. Thank you, everybody. Have a really, really, really beautiful day, and I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye. I really hope that you got so much enjoyment, value, and insights out of this episode today. And if you did, please feel free to go ahead and leave a review. When you leave a review, it means that more therapists can access this help and support and tools to support them in their private practice and in their journeys. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Have a gorgeous day.